Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something incredibly tough, the complex strategies for reuniting with an alienated child. We're going to pull back the curtain on the key moves used in both the courtroom and the therapist's office. Okay, first things first, you've got to understand how the legal system sees this. In places like Ontario, this isn't just chalked up to a family squabble. No, the courts recognize parental alienation for exactly what it is, a severe form of emotional abuse. And that right there, that's the key that unlocks the court's power to take serious, protective action. So here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got a four-part game plan. First, we'll nail down what the crisis really is. Then we'll hit the legal front and see what the courts can do. After that, we'll open up the therapeutic toolkit to see how healing happens. And finally, we'll get into the parent's playbook, the central role you play in all of this. All right, so before we can even talk about solutions, we have to be absolutely crystal clear on what we're up against. So what are we really talking about here? At its heart, parental alienation is this devastating process of psychological manipulation. This isn't a kid making their own choice. Not at all. This is about one parent actively and systematically turning a child against the other, essentially weaponizing that child's love and loyalty. And here's something you have to get. This problem doesn't just sit still. It's a progressive form of violence, which is a clinical way of saying it gets worse and worse and worse over time if you do nothing. That's why waiting around is the worst thing you can do. This demands urgent, decisive intervention. Okay, so with that fire lit under us, let's turn to our first line of defense, the legal system. Because the courts, they have some seriously powerful tools at their disposal, and they are not afraid to use them. And what's so smart about the court's approach is that it's not one size fits all. It's tailored. For cases that are on the milder side, the goal is to rebuild things, often through court-ordered therapy. But when things get severe, the court's number one priority shifts to protecting the child, which can mean taking drastic, but sometimes absolutely necessary steps, like a full custody reversal or a blackout period of no contact with the alienating parent. So the big takeaway here is this: don't underestimate the court's power. We're talking about a whole arsenal of tools a judge can use. They can tweak parenting time, force supervised visits, even transfer who gets to make the big decisions. They can put a gag order on bad-mouthing and hit them with financial penalties. It's a comprehensive toolkit designed to stop the bleeding and create room for healing. Okay, so once those legal guardrails are up, we can shift our focus to the healing part. And that means opening up a very specialized therapeutic toolkit to fix the psychological damage. This really gets to the heart of it, right? How in the world do you help a child unlearn lies they've been told are truths? It's not about forcing them to hug someone. It's about gently guiding them away from that manipulated mindset, helping them unpack the false beliefs, and letting them find their own way back to thinking for themselves. One of the go-to methods for this is something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. And it's pretty logical, really. It's kind of like a three-step dance. First, you help the child actually pinpoint those warped negative beliefs. Then, you use really gentle questioning to challenge them. And the end goal? To help the child take apart that false story and build their own healthier one. And this question? This is a perfect example of a technique called Socratic questioning. See, the therapist isn't saying, "You're wrong." Instead, they're asking questions that gently nudge the child to connect the dots themselves. It is so much more powerful because the child arrives at the conclusion on their own. Okay, here's another really clever tool, this one from something called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It's all about using very specific language to build a bridge from a really tough, stuck feeling towards a better future. So check out how this works. An even though statement is kind of magic. It does two amazing things at once. It says, hey, I hear you. That anger is real. We're not ignoring it. But it also cracks open a door by suggesting that feeling doesn't have to be the end of the story. It creates just a little bit of possibility. All right, let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle. And honestly, it might be the most important one of all. Because while lawyers and therapists are absolutely critical, the targeted parent is on the front lines, day in and day out. Their role is vital. When you're communicating in this situation, you are basically at a fork in the road. You can go down the reactive path, getting defensive, angry, argumentative, and you know what? That road almost always leads nowhere. Or you can take the strategic path, the calm, rational, loving jujitsu approach that redirects all that negativity. Yeah. Dr. Craig Childress calls this jujitsu communication, and it's a perfect name. Just like in martial arts, you're not meeting force with more force. You are using their negative energy against them by simply not engaging. You stay calm, you stay rational, and you refuse to give the alienator the fight they are desperately looking for. And here's another brilliant principle, this time from Dr. Amy J.L. Baker. It's called Correct the Distortion. It's so simple but so effective. Step 1, acknowledge the feeling. I get why you feel that way. Step 2, gently, without an argument, offer another way to see it. You're not trying to erase their reality, you're just widening the lens a little bit. So these 4 things, they are the absolute foundation of the parent's playbook. You gotta show up. Every single time. No excuses. Document everything. Dates, times, exact quotes. This is your evidence. Get pros in your corner who actually specialize in this stuff. And through all the muck, you have to be the source of positivity and fun. So let's pull all this together. The big takeaway is that there's no single magic wand here. Tackling this is a full-on multi-front campaign. It means seeing alienation for the abuse it is, using the courts as your shield, bringing in therapeutic specialists, and having a parent who executes their playbook with calm, consistent strength. Which, of course, brings us to the one question that really, truly matters. After all of this, after the fight, the pain, the strategy, can that bond, that deeply broken connection, actually be rebuilt? And the answer, for anyone out there going through this, is a hopeful and resounding yes. The source material is really clear on this. Many alienated children do eventually find their way back as they get older and gain their own perspective. This isn't a sprint, it's a marathon of perseverance. But with the right strategy and a whole lot of resilience, reconnection isn't just some far-off dream. It is absolutely possible.